o'clock. We're here. Hello. How you doing? This is Trev Retro, and it's Monday Night Mayhem, and just going to introduce my friends this evening. The oldest gamer.
Hello, hello.
And how's the other side of the pond today, sir?
It was a balmy 75 degrees today.
Oh, what's that in
I'm going to be
English?
frozen solid tonight.
Oh, what does anybody know what that is in English?
Just mark 3.
Oh, well, spot on. And with us as well is the Internet Helpdesk.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, ladies and or gentlemen. Delete as appropriate.
Sorry, I'd got myself back on myself there. I don't know if you heard that. That was very bizarre. It's Mr. Helpdesk. How are we, sir?
Yes, it's been an interesting few days. Well into the new year now. I'm still writing 24 on everything I'm doing, so don't hold out much hope.
Oh dear, don't do that. You'll get Keith Sutherland turning up for royalties. And everybody's favourite android at this time of year. It's January. We all need warming up. Zee Threepio. Hello, sir.
Hello, Sailor.
Oh. How are you?
How's it all going down in Groovetown?
And from north of the border, Mr. Brian Brew. Not Brian. Hello, sir.
Good evening, chat. Good evening, Trev. How are we all?
We're all right, I think.
Glad to hear it, Trev.
And not to make it a complete sausage fest, our very own Swappers has put a very nice avatar up for us tonight. Oh, what's Daisy doing? Oh, that's a bit of a saucy picture. Hello, Swappers.
Yes, she's congratulating everyone on a happy new 2025. So obviously an image of optimism.
Isn't it
supposed to be like Blue Monday today or something, or is that another Monday of the month?
I don't know. I like New Order.
Yeah, they're not bad. Not as good as True Faith, but you know.
I'd sooner have True Faith Tuesday. I think that would work out a bit better, don't you? Right. Before we go any further, hello, chat, and thank you to everybody who's watching, and thank you very much for putting your faith in us tonight. We'll try our very hardest to let you down because it's Monday Night Mayhem, and we're going to just have a bit of a catch-up on the gap between Christmas and now. So, Gamer, what have you been watching pop culture-wise between Christmas up to now?
Well, I took my son to go see Sonic 3, which I enjoyed immensely. I would highly recommend that movie to anyone that hasn't already seen it. And I also decided to rewatch Deadpool and Wolverine. I had it on Blu-ray and decided to pop it in and enjoy it again.
That sounds a bit rum, doesn't it? Popping it in and doing it again. Nice. Helpdesk, what have you been watching in particular?
Well, it's one of those ones. My two kids are not at an age where I can actually take them out anywhere without being completely fearful that they are crazy. So we've spent most of it indoors. We made our way through the 5 Home Alone movies that there are, and I recommend nobody do that because it was horrific.
5?
There are 5.
How did they get to, are they like Police Academy films now? There's more of them than you realise, but nobody knows about them.
Pretty much. And 2 was the last good one. The rest are absolutely atrocious.
Telling me.
Yeah. Other than that, it's mostly been the Disney DVDs that I've got because I refuse to pay for Disney Plus.
I can't fault you one bit. More power to you, matey. If you've got them on disc, get them in the DVD player.
Absolutely.
Zee, what have you been watching of interest?
Over the Christmas period, I've been watching the extended editions of Lord of the Rings. With the
How is your ring?
Oh, so it's the extended edition.
I'm not going to
long.
I'm not going to have to take you to Toshi Station, am I, to get your power converters sorted?
Yeah, get my new power converters out of the way.
Is it shiny and goldy?
I'm absolutely fucking exhausted after all that. So many movies, so much time.
So apart from the Lord of the Rings, then, have you had time to squeeze anything else in?
I have. I've just got off from watching Dare the Jackal.
What, the new one or the original?
The new one.
Is it any good?
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
How many Jawas out of 5 would you rate it?
I'd give it 4. I mean, they've done a lot of stuff with his family and given him some sort of sympathetic background. So they've done what they usually do with villains now, is try and make them a bit more relatable. So I would give it, I don't know, 5 out of 7.
Oh, so it gets a half Utini then.
Yeah, it's okay, but it's nothing amazing.
Is it Eddie Redmayne? What's in
It
that?
is, yes. Newt Scamander from the Fantastic Beasts movies. It was pretty decent. But in this, he looks like a young Willem Dafoe.
I've got visions of him in that meme where he's in that back seat and his head flips round and he's got that really crazy look on his face now.
Yeah, and that bit where he goes, "You can count on me, Spider-Man."
Brian, what have you been watching between Christmas up to now?
Yes, well, I've mainly been perusing the old council telly, Trev. But thankfully, it's produced the goods this year. With in Christmas Day, it was 2 of my favourite films. I like to watch every Christmas, although not necessarily Christmas movies per se. Christmas Day, it was Some Like It Hot that was on. The Family Man was on almost the same time. So it was
the Nicolas Cage movie.
Yeah, that's the one you don't quite like, but I absolutely love it. Blackadder's Christmas Carol, Violent Night, Die Hard was on Christmas Eve, and I depressed myself last night by my first viewing of No Time to Die.
Oh, that's very good. I like that. You managed to squeeze more in. I quite like that. If you can, you get that bit of time, because you get that lull between Christmas and New Year, and it feels like you've dropped into the black hole. But if you can manage your time and squeeze plenty of films in and stuff, you're doing pretty well. Swappers, what have you been watching between Christmas and New Year?
Finally invested in an Freeview antenna. So, because we're living in the bottom of a valley, we can't get shit all. So I plugged that in, and I've been over the last couple of weeks been watching nothing but god awful Hallmark Christmas movies, which are incredibly sappy, romantic things, and it made me suicidal.
Merry Christmas.
And apart from that, I soon switched over though. I wasn't going to put up with that. I watched 3 of my favourite kids things from when I was a kid.
Rob's Cartoon Club.
One of them was this. No, they're not cartoons. It was this puppet thing that I saw when I was about 7, called Emmett Otter's Christmas or something like that, or Emmett Otter's Band Christmas. Fucking brilliant. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. And just really innocent childhood entertainment. Really great. I think it was like shown on the BBC or something in 1987. I don't know. And then there was this other thing. It was completely unrelated to Christmas, called the Pinchcliffe Grand Prix, which is like Wallace and Gromit, like way before Wallace and Gromit. And I think it was Scandinavian animation, and it's absolutely one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in my life, and I still love it to this day. The cute characters in it, and the main guy is very sort of proto Wallace-esque, and it's got this amazing home-built steampunk race car in it and stuff. Brilliant. Absolutely loved it. And the third one was Klaus, which no one else seems to know about.
I've watched Klaus. It's really good, actually.
It is.
That sounds familiar.
Didn't know about it. So yeah, it's. I think that might be I think it was a Netflix movie, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
CG animated, and it's just beautifully animated. The characters are all amazingly designed, and the story is incredibly heartfelt and genuine, and just one of the most amazing pieces of Christmas entertainment I've seen in a long, long time. And it's up there in my top 3 Christmas things ever. So if no one's seen it, and you're still in that kind of festive spirit, then watch it. I thoroughly recommend it.
The only thing I wanted to watch, and I completely missed it, apparently BBC 4 reran The Box of Delights. I haven't seen that since the 80s.
Oh
if
my
anybody
God.
else watched that back in the day.
Yeah, I did. I've forgotten all about it, though, but I can remember it scaring me for some reason.
It had got Patrick Troughton in it, so that was one of the major draws for me. If it's got a former Doctor Who in it, I'm there, know. Apart from Scooty. Scooty Booty. I bet he likes a bit of booty, old Scooty, doesn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Let's have just a bit of a roundup of who's about in the chat tonight. Thank you to everybody, all 13 of you. We did have 14. One's noped out already. So thank you very much for that. Who's in the chat then? Oh, Andrew Broadbent. Yes, Trev, let's have some swearing and debauchery. I like the sound of that, but we'll take it nice and steady. Also in the chat tonight is the Hooded Man. Now then. Now then, indeed. Not quite sure what you're getting at there, but moving swiftly on, Annika. Who else is in there? Oh, MC. Glad I'm not too early. Well, I think you're spot on time. And not quite sure how to take this one. Bob Smith, 9866. Good luck on the new show, you ponce. Well, I'll take that, you know. That's not too bad. Just going back on to Klaus. Oh, I know Klaus, just not watched it yet. And apparently I think we've got Flav in the chat somewhere as well. Not quite sure. But thank you to everybody who's joined us in the chat. That's really kind of you. Hail chat, it's Flav. Hello, chat. Hello, hail Flav. So what I was thinking about doing is having a quick sort of delve into what's coming out this year. And I didn't know if you were aware of what was coming out this year. But Tron Ares, any ideas or thoughts about that movie?
Are they continuing it directly after the last movie?
No, this is a completely different thing. But apparently it's Jared Leto. Apparently Jared Leto. He's the bad guy in it.
Box office cancer.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm hopeful. I'm hoping it's going to be good. But even though Tron Legacy promised, and it kind of paid off in a way, it didn't quite hit the mark with me. I don't know if you guys saw it and what you felt about Tron Legacy.
It didn't quite set the heather on fire for me, but it was enough eye candy. And
you mean Olivia Wilde?
Well, I wasn't. Oh, actually, I wasn't quite. Although her bottom did carry much of the second half of the film.
Oh, Cora! When I saw her in that get-up when she got out that car, and I was like, "Okay, I'm about to interface."
So between that and the Daft Punk, Jeff Bridges went about, it was enough to kind of keep me going. And I would certainly quite like to see another installment. Though I wasn't that keen on the original back in the day, has to be said.
See, I'm just a fan of Bruce Boxleitner, so I did like the original. And Tron Legacy was good, but obviously I'm biased because I like the original. So it was, for me, it was average. But I wouldn't say no if it was on the screen in front of me. So maybe I'll look forward to it.
And I'm going to agree with Al Rimu. Legacy looked nice, but the story was ridiculous. Yes, true it was. But Olivia Wilde, come on. Has anybody seen Better Living Through Chemistry? Because she's in that, and she's quite voracious in that.
I've heard the album by the Chemical Brothers, but I've not seen the film.
No. What about you, Gamer? What did you think to Tron Legacy if you saw it?
I like Tron Legacy, but kind of what Helpdesk was saying, I'm a big Bruce Boxleitner fan. So that may skew me a little on enjoying that film, whether I otherwise might not.
I thought for what parts on screen he did play, he did them really well, considering his age. And as Alan Bradley, it's like he'd never stopped playing Alan Bradley. It was like Buff, he was in it, it was straight in there. So I think he's a very good actor. But am I being a bit prejudiced because I'm a big John Sheridan fan?
I think there's a lot of bias in that because I'm a John Sheridan fan too. I almost wish that there was I don't want to say a larger role for Bruce Boxleitner, but maybe I am.
There was talk. Sorry,
I expected more going to see it. Maybe that's where I'm biased, that I went to see it because I expected he would be in the film more. I wasn't disappointed having seen it. The first film's obviously better.
Oh yeah, by a light year, no pun. I was going to say something and I've totally forgotten now, but the only thing what let Tron Legacy down for me, big style, was the bad de-aging, especially of Flynn and of Bruce Boxleitner. Although he looked more convincing than Jeff Bridges.
It was the kind of wobbly head, as if they haven't quite got the kind of sync properly. The tracking, the motion tracking, just perfect yet.
Yeah. You know when Clue was coming up that elevator into Flynn's abode?
Yes.
I thought it was like a young Chuck Norris, not Jeff Bridges.
You know what you know what it reminded me of? Do you
What?
remember at the end of Rogue One where you saw Princess Leia?
Oh,
And
God,
the odd
yeah.
one or two shots looked fine, and then a couple of shots she looked like she could be Princess Leia, and then on another shot her eyes were just off in different directions. It was it's the same thing
weird.
that happened here.
I'm glad the technology is advancing to a point where it's starting to be convincing, but it's almost like doing a CGI de-aging of William Shatner, but sticking a Michael Myers mask on somebody's face. Just some random guy. I've got high hopes for Tron Ares. I really, really do. But is it going to be another letdown? Because it's not a continuation of the characters. Although there was talk about bringing Cillian Murphy back, who was Ed Dillinger's son. So you've got that that continuation and connection from the other films, yeah? I think that would be a great idea. But with Jared Leto being there, has he chewed into the budget? Because I think Jared, bless him, is very overrated. The only thing I've seen him in, and I thought it was actually good, is when he played Rayon in Dallas Buyers Club.
Yeah, very much so. He's excellent in that. Yeah,
and that's about the only thing I thought he was good in. Does anybody else have any more thoughts on Tron Ares before we move on to our next film we can rip to shreds?
Cameron,
This film's not high on my radar as far as going to go see. If it comes to digital, I mean, where you can stream it, then I'd probably do it. I won't go to the theater to go see this film.
Yeah.
I was going to say Cameron Monaghan is in that, who I think is a very, very promising young actor.
I love him in Gotham.
Gotham, playing basically two different versions of the Joker, and he was excellent as both.
And Cal Kestis in the Star Wars games as well.
Yes, yep.
Good shout from Savros. I'd repeatedly plug into Olivia Wilde's coaxial port. Oh, that, yeah, me, you, and everybody else get in line. But she's on a One Direction now, isn't she? Pun intended. Another interesting username, Hinge and Swallocks. I wanted a direct sequel to the 80s movie with the same visual designs. That would have been interesting, considering it was all hand animated over black and white stock film. That would have been quite interesting, I think. Anybody have any thoughts on that?
I don't think it would have that mass appeal factor to it if they did it that way. It's a good idea. Absolutely, because it's very in keeping with the original, but I just don't think it would meet today's markets.
Yeah, you're probably true. All right, moving on to something what's allegedly coming out. Let's see if it does. I've seen the trailer for this, and I thought it was quite interesting. Robert Pattinson in Mickey 17. Anybody else seen the trailer for that?
I have.
Yeah.
This looks interesting. I'll say that. The idea that you are basically you give permission to make a copy of yourself as many times after you die in a really dangerous job. That's basically the premise, isn't it?
Isn't it a kind of derivative of Moon?
That's just what I thought straight away.
Yeah.
There. Moon and Altered Carbon, I thought, was the first couple of things that came into my head.
I wonder if Duncan Jones is directing it by any chance. Because that's his whole universe, isn't it? Because he tied Mute in with Moon as well. Did anybody see that on Netflix? Mute?
No, I missed that.
Yeah, it's got, crikey, Paul Rudd. He plays an antagonist in it. And during the actual show, because I think it was a mini-series, or I can't remember 100%, but there's a clip in it of the clone in a trial against the company that kept cloning him. You know, the Sam Bell clones.
Right.
Yeah, there was a scene of that in it. But Mickey 17 and Pattinson actually looks slightly above Ron Seal level. He's more at Cuprinol instead of Ron Seal.
Cuprinol.
Having Haven't Lucasfilm already got something like that on the go just now with Kathleen Kennedy? She doesn't. She's supposed to be living forever at the moment. That's the only thing I can assume is they've got several clones lined up.
Yeah, how does that woman keep failing upwards?
Yeah, maybe they just keep firing the bad ones and bringing a new clone in.
Right, wheel this one out. Bring another one in, love. Quick, everybody go for a smoke break.
I think I'd be a lot more excited about this film if it was Metal Mickey 17.
Oh God.
Oh, he's a bit rusty now. Wasn't he supposed to be making a comeback a few years ago? But that petered out. It didn't actually happen, and I was quite disappointed about that.
That's the first I've heard of that.
Yeah,
I think that's the problem.
yeah, that's why he never made the comeback. Not enough people actually. Not enough people saw it. You know, I just saw an interesting chat in the chat, but I'm not going to put it on screen. But it is quite funny. If you see Dooku's post, some interesting usernames in the chat tonight. Anybody looking forward to the Fantastic Four First Steps?
No.
Absolutely not.
Right, moving swiftly on. 28 years later. Anybody looking forward to that one?
Yes, very much so.
It'd be
I've
interesting.
never been a fan of the series. In fact, I think I've only watched 28 Days Later once. I didn't watch the sequel.
I think the only draw to that series is Danny Boyle. I think if people are fans of Danny Boyle, they tend to gravitate towards his films, obviously. So I think that'd be a pretty much the big draw. And there was a bit of a fuss with the trailer where one of the zombies was allegedly supposed to be Cillian Murphy's character, but it wasn't. It was just some random guy who just happened to be as thin as Cillian Murphy.
On the photo that was leaked.
Yeah.
What was it from the trailer? I can't remember.
It's from the trailer. Yeah.
Right, okay.
It would have been interesting if it was leaked, then that would have fueled the speculation further because, people get a hold of that on social media. They run wild with it, don't they, basically?
That's the kind of thing that if Rian Johnson had experienced that with one of his films, he would be desperately rewriting bits just now to make that part of the canon. As he did
Definitely.
with the Lapsed Jedi.
Prolapse Jedi, man.
Yeah. I don't think zombie movies, it's a very narrow niche, I think, in the world of science fiction. Every sort of zombie movie I've seen, it's just the same thing transplanted onto a different character. And Will Smith
I
didn't
think there's
do it
some
any favors.
differences.
Go on.
Well, you say you were to take like The Walking Dead versus World War Z.
Yeah.
You're still dealing with zombies, but I think they both did their niche individually. Without giving away too much from the film, dealing with how Israel deals with it and the North Koreans deal with it in World War Z, and ultimately trying to deal with the zombies versus the long form of The Walking Dead. I know there's people that gave up on The Walking Dead. I've actually watched every single season, including the spinoffs. Some of them are weaker than others, but I think it's not as niche as you might think. Now that said, this 28 years later appeals to me because of the zombie thing. But having seen 28 Days, I think the film, it's something I'm actually anticipating. I didn't know it was coming out. Then I saw the list for this year and then I saw the trailer. I'm like, no, I'll go see this. And having seen Cillian Murphy in, what was the movie from last year?
Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
I actually really enjoyed that film. So I'm interested to see, this film. And, it could be a letdown, but it unlike last year where I only had 2 films on my plate for the entire year, the last one we discussed and this one are at least 2 that are on my plate ahead of my other films I'm anticipating for this year. So no, I'll see this film.
Another offering from Marvel this coming year, Captain America Brave New World.
Oh dear.
Nope.
It looks thrilling.
How many reshoots are there on? I think
4.
It's
4.
I'm going to say it's somewhere around 4 or 5 because it's just that each one of those just adds to the cost of it. It's got to be at least $500 million by now.
It must be. Yeah, I was going to say, is it
Has to
about
be.
100 mil at a time?
Yeah,
I was thinking it was at 500 million with a third reshoot.
it would not surprise me. They're going to have to make $1.5 billion to break even, basically.
Yeah.
This-
Well,
this
I was
ne-
at 1.2 billion with the third reshoot, and now
Yeah.
with them doing this fourth one. Yeah, I don't know how this movie makes a profit, because what you're now getting is into Deadpool and Wolverine numbers, albeit not with a rated R film. I don't believe anyone believes for a second that this film is going to make $1.5 billion.
No way.
God, definitely not.
There's nothing in that film at all to make me go to the cinema to watch it. Anthony
Right.
Mackie is not a big enough draw for me to go.
Anthony Mackie had a great character in
He did.
Falcon. If they just did a movie of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or
Yeah.
gave Bucky the shield, and
Mhm.
he was
Mm.
That's
Captain
how
America.
it should have ended. Bucky,
Then-
when Sam
Yeah.
gave the shield away, Bucky should have taken it after they fought the fake Captain America. What's his name?
Absolutely. It just baffled me when he gave it to Sam.
Yeah,
That's
he
like-
didn't deserve it at that point. You gave it away. What did you think was going to happen?
What the hell? You sacrificed your entire career as a hero to defend Bucky,
Right.
and
So
then
stupid.
you give it to this guy you just met while you were out running.
Hello, random stranger. Why don't you take this off me? Oh, yeah. Oh, cheers,
Oh,
mate.
all right. Thanks.
I'll-
Thanks
I,
very
I
I'll
much.
take
think there's
it.
other.
You could have took it to a scrapyard and weighed it in.
I was
How
going to say
much
there's
for
other
this?
problems with the upcoming film too. It doesn't have any believability. Just from the trailers, Sam fighting off two guys with no superpowers, but no, I've got this. And then with the Red Hulk punching him, I'm sorry,
Oh, that would turn
not-
him to mush. He'd be jam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'd be in a jar of Robertsons the next morning, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Robinsons, even. What do you think to Red Hulk, though?
Necessary or not?
Not really. It's just
No.
we haven't had any good Green Hulk.
True.
Not for a long
Ever.
time.
So why are we getting on to Red Hulk?
Are we going to get the full spectrum of the rainbow?
I'll wait for purple and pink Hulk and yellow
Pink
Hulk.
throbbing Hulk.
Sorry,
Hulk
it's-
smash.
it's an old joke from ages ago. It's sort of like an interior designer who hates seeing postmodernism, so he gets very big and pink. That's where Pink Hulk comes from.
I'd watch that.
That was a long time ago. But no, I think this movie is going to do incredibly badly. I'm placing bet because there are going to be people that see it because it says Captain America. So I'm reckoning 300 million. That's
Wow.
my bet.
What? Total box office?
Total box office 300.
Oh,
They've-
that's
they-
going to hurt.
They've offended everybody who would watch the movie.
Yeah.
That's their problem. And when you start to put political things in, you instantly
Yeah.
isolate half of the people who would watch your movie because they suddenly don't want to see it.
Yeah, that is weird. Why incorporate elements that they know are going to turn people away?
Yeah.
And you always get that odd interview with the writer or director that goes, "Oh, this is a Trump allegory."
Yeah, that'll be the next thing. It'll all be Orange Man bad again, and all that
the
kind of
Red
malarkey.
Hulk bad.
The last thing I can think of that had a Trump allegory and was one of Jodie Whittaker's Doctor Who episodes. They had an American guy in it who was a blatant Trump allegory.
Oh, the guy
Who
from
wanted to- He
Yeah.
wanted to side with
Sex
the
and the City.
Daleks so that they could,
That was it. It was the guy. What was it? What was his name? Big something, weren't he?
Mr. Big. Yeah.
Mr.
Yeah,
Big,
Mr.
yeah.
Big.
And it
I
was
remember
just-
that.
it was
MC
so
makes
shit.
a good point. The world is bored of Marvel and superheroes. I agree with that.
No.
I don't think-
disagree. I think
I
there's
I totally
bad
disagree with that.
writing.
Really?
Superheroes ultimately is this whole psychological thing of people thinking, I want to be that person, I can do those sorts of things. What we're bored with is the current way they're being handled.
Yeah, but don't you think that the Marvel universe has kind of diluted the appeal of going to the cinema to see these superheroes?
Well, no, because of all the characters that they brought in that nobody cares about. And I'm not a comic book expert, but all the the post 2015 comics seems to be the baseline of the nonsense. Creating the Marvels, nobody wanted that. So you killed Tony Stark. Captain America's still alive, but you're not creative enough in your writing to actually bring him back, although allegedly they were considering it. Then you throw a bunch of TV shows at us that nobody wanted. Now, I watched WandaVision. WandaVision was a letdown. It didn't go
it
the
was.
direction I wanted. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like we just said, I expected Bucky to get the shield. So, notwithstanding the girl boss in the film, I was going to let that go, or in the series, I was going to let that go because I figured out the payoff was Bucky was going to be Captain America. We don't get that because the show had the Captain America and the Winter Soldier feel to it, that was kind of where they were going. But then you kind of get the rope-a-dope. Oh, no, Sam's going to be Cap now. And now we've got this vibranium outfit that looks absolutely absurd. And the political garbage that's thrown at you, you see it in a lot of the shows. She-Hulk, nobody asked for. And you made Mark Ruffalo just the worst. The Spider-Man movie was good. I saw that. But then you go to Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. You didn't need America Chavez.
Talking about wasn't
Your
bad.
plot device.
Cucumber Patch isn't a big draw for me as an actor.
No. And so if Disney hadn't done what they did with Marvel in phases 4 and 5, you could probably get away with the upcoming Avengers film. But you've so crushed anyone that cares anymore. And I can only use myself and my son as an example. So you're talking about two different generations. We're not interested at all. But when Deadpool and Wolverine came out, we went the Tuesday after the film opened, and kind of like with Sonic, we went the Friday that it opened. So there are, just using it as an example, that we are willing to go see films, and we're willing to go see superhero films. And I would actually, if the theaters weren't so crowded, would have seen Deadpool and Wolverine a second time in the theater, which I haven't done in years. But if you're going to keep putting, Captain Falcon at me and other films like that I don't care about, then I'm not going to go. And I think that carries over to DC, that you don't know what James Gunn's going to do, but I would probably go see a decent Superman film or Batman film if I thought it was actually good.
Do you know, why do you think Marvel and Disney as a whole aren't listening to paying audiences? What is it that they think they've got right? Obviously, they're not, because they've had so many bad films over the last, crikey, how long?
Yeah.
So the thing is, they need to start listening to people who are going to put money back in their pockets. They're just not prepared. And I was just thinking, your first sort of like early versions of Marvel movies, Blade, fantastic. Blade 1 and 2, certainly. We'll not discuss Trinity for obvious reasons.
I didn't mind Trinity.
I didn't mind
it's kind of Deadpoolish, but yeah, it's less of the 3.
And then you've got the Sony Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. They were fantastic. I thought they were great.
Absolutely.
They were the epitome of what a superhero film should be.
Yeah.
It was very comic book,
Especially the second one. Yeah. I think the main problem the MCU has for me at the moment, there is all these other problems that clearly are part of the bigger whole, but I think the Infinity Stone saga coming to an end has been their biggest problem. I think they've lost a lot of momentum. I think watching the MCU just now is like playing Grand Theft Auto once you've completed all the missions. It's still there. It's still kind of enjoyable, but it's just not the same. I think what they maybe should have done was something they were very good at back at the start before they sold over, was having little kind of multiple threads going on, little buds of different stories coming through, strong stories. And I think if they'd maybe kept that, so they could have moved straight on from that one to the next big thing, to the next big thing. But it's kind of petered out, and it's really, in my opinion, needing to take a little hiatus of a couple of years.
It seems to be a case. Sorry, I had to cut you off, but it seems to be a case of quantity over quality. The level of writing in these Marvel movies has been, apart from Guardians of the Galaxy, I will give it that it due, but I think the writing has been absolutely shocking.
All I was going to say was they need to go back to what they did in phase 1. For people who don't remember, they didn't have the MCU. They had Marvel movies. And every single one of them was just its own separate thing. And they just had a little line or two in them about, Nick Fury or the Avengers Initiative, or that have Agent Coulson come in and say something. But it was only a line or two, because if it didn't take off, then they could follow that up in, a TV series or in a comic book.
Yep.
So but as it turned out, it worked well. And that's when we got Avengers. If you go back to the start of MCU phase 1, these characters were relatively unknown by the majority of the world. They weren't household names. The last time you saw sort of like Captain America was the 80s movie. The last time you saw Thor there was the Avengers in the 70s, but then other than that, not really. I think there was a cartoon. But anyway, the point is, the characters are all B-list characters because the main characters have been sold off to Sony so that Marvel Studios had money. So they lost X-Men, they lost, Fantastic Four and
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
Fantastic Four,
Yeah, so that they lost all of that. So they had to go with what they had. That is what they need to do now. They need to put it on hiatus for a bit and then start again with just movies, not a universe.
Swappers, what do you think?
I just miss Nicholas Hammond. I've noticed that's come up in the chat. And,
Yeah, I saw that.
I don't think anyone will beat him, to be honest with you, and it's quite depressing.
I thought that was a TV series, but over here it was shown as a small feature film, and I thought that was really good.
I bloody loved it. I absolutely
watched it
loved
at the cinema.
Did you?
Oh, I didn't know it was out in the cinema. Bloody hell.
No, I didn't.
Spider-Man Strikes Back, and I forget what the third one was called.
Yeah, it's cheesy as hell, but it's so much fun though.
I loved it when he went against those guys with the massive bamboo canes and they whacked his legs. I think it was a mistake that they left in. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but his spider sense were going crazy, and he's like, "Oh, hang on a minute, I'll just walk into here. Oh, look, there's some fat blokes with bamboos. They're going to beat me senseless." Just to wrap up on this Marvel bit, just one question: when it comes to Nick Fury's, Samuel L. Jackson or David Hasselhoff?
Hasselhoff.
Did anybody see that Nick Cage, Nick Fury, agent of Shield? Was it?
Shield. I did see it. I specifically went out to find it because I wanted to. It's really not very good, but it is actually worth watching.
It's cheese, but it is just so much fun.
It's brilliant. You really
and
do
it's
need to see it if you
Hasselhoff.
haven't. Yeah. He chews the scenery perfectly.
Anybody else have any thoughts on the Marvel movie before we go forward?
Well, if they really want to generate some success, go back to the original popular graphic novels. But they've got this insistence on introducing these Z-list heroes that nobody gives a flying fuck about, like Ms. Marvel, and adapting storylines that didn't sell any money.
Well, you make a very, very valid point there. Right, I'm going to say two names now for our next upcoming film of 2025. David Corenswet and James Gunn. Your thoughts on the new Superman, the upcoming Superman?
Oh, God.
I'm already meh.
Do we believe the leaks that have come out from people who have seen the movie?
Go on.
You recap?
Fill in the gaps, please.
I have seen a few that have come out. I think, although whilst not reliable, Doomcock has also talked about it, where they said it's not particularly good.
Other internet channels are available.
Many other internet channels are available. Some more reliable than others, admittedly. But if that's true, I want a good Superman movie. I really do.
And I've noticed David Corenswet. Is that how we pronounce his name this week?
Yes.
Have you noticed he looks like a young, angry Nathan Fillion, but with less personality? And Nicholas Holt's going to be in it as Lex Luthor. Come on, that's just terrible.
Yeah, I think Nicholas Holt's a bit young for that, and I'm also not a fan of the Clark Kent hairstyle, which looks
Floppy.
Yeah.
The Guy Gardner hairstyle, as I understand, is consistent with the comics, but it looks ridiculous on Nathan.
It looks a bit
Fillion.
Uncle Fester.
Yeah.
It looks like he's gone in for a Jean-Claude Van Damme semi-perm, and it's gone a bit funny.
It looks like a right-wing commentator trying to go incognito and infiltrate some woke. Some woke mob.
Yeah. Well, James Gunn is promising big things, but when I watched the trailer and the dog came into it, and I'm like, oh god, this is going to be junk.
Yep.
Crypto works well in the comics and the animated series. I don't think it translates well over to live action.
Yeah,
I
there's a
in the
place for
trailer,
everything.
It looks like fucking Snowy out of The Adventures of Tintin.
Yeah, I have to
Super
agree with you there.
Snowy.
Oh wow! I was trying to think where it reminded me of.
It does, doesn't it? I don't think there's any place for it's just it comes across as a really bad plot device.
Very
think-
James Gunn.
Yeah, he just wants to put animals in stuff, doesn't he?
Really? I wonder where the
holds it
hamsters
all.
have been going. In.
Sorry.
Is that how DC got him over there?
Yeah, Marvel didn't want to after his admission. They didn't want to employ him anymore. So obviously DC got lower standards.
I feared
Yeah,
the worst
definitely.
when James Gunn was announced. I think he can be very funny in a very narrow window if it's given a certain specific type of assignment. Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, clearly was very, very good. I didn't think he would be a very good fit for DC Universe at all.
Well,
And I
apparently
must admit,
he's put himself forward as the next big thing. He's going to be the be-all and end-all of DC.
Can you put yourself forward for things like that? I thought other people have to sort of like say, "Wow, you're good." We'll say you're the next big thing. I might as well just sit here and just say, "I'm going to be the next Prime Minister of the UK." Then
he's so used to putting his family members through for things he maybe just signed his own name by accident or something.
Yeah, I bet his brother's in it.
Yeah,
And I don't have to look at IMDb for that for a guess.
I'll be very surprised if Michael Rooker's not in it as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I will give him his due. The only thing, apart from Guardians 1 and 2 at a push, that I really enjoyed what James Gunn did, and that was Peacemaker. I thought he did a really good job of that show.
I
And they killed it.
Jury's out.
I liked it. I thought it was horribly violent and very enjoyable.
It was needlessly gratuitous in places, but that was the appeal of it, I guess. Swappers, what we were saying, mate?
I just quickly was going to say I tried the first episode of Peacemaker, and I'm very open-minded when it comes to James Gunn stuff, but the humour did not land with me whatsoever.
Really?
And the first episode, I just didn't go back after the first episode. And I was like, I heard so many glowing things about it, and I just thought, oh, this is definitely the sort of thing I'd like. And I just, I was cringing more than anything. So I couldn't put up with the rest of it, unfortunately.
That's a shame. Gamer, did you check out Peacemaker?
I did not. For some reason, it just didn't appeal to me.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought Cena was good. It was hyperbolous. That was how the character was supposed to be. Compared to how he was in the Suicide Squad, to how he was in the show, it was a really big shift, to say the least, I thought.
And
But
maybe I would have enjoyed it. Maybe the Suicide Squad's what put me off to it.
Yeah. I really wanted to like Suicide Squad. I really did. But there was just something about it. It might have been the shark that was jumping, or it jumped the shark early for me. I'm not quite sure. But Sylvester Stallone as a talking shark, for God's sake. Thing is, though, as the shark, I understood him better. You're going to bite something. Right.
Is that because the King Shark didn't have a drooping bottom lip?
Didn't need it.
Just as well, Rennie's not here, she'll be going crazy at this. She'll have Stallone.
Does she?
We're not saying we dislike Stallone, just in case she watches this on the re-rub. We're not saying we don't like Stallone. It's just
Enjoy
sometimes-
ripping the Mickey out of him even more than.
Yeah, he was good in Rambo 3. That was a believable performance.
Was Rambo? Hang on. No, never mind. I remember which one Rambo was now.
Yeah.
Rambo.
Got a
3,
bandana, is big and muscly and oily, tends to go around shooting people needlessly.
Yeah.
I loved, the only thing I liked about Rambo 3 was the guy, what was his name? He was actually French, who played the base commander, who was flying that big helicopter, and he's like, "Who is this bastard John Rambo who tried to kill me?" I thought that was great. Was it Mark de Jong?
It might be, actually.
Yeah. It was
Sorry,
quite
Mike-
good in that.
I think it came out when I was about 14 or something, that film.
Yeah.
Because me and my mates were like really into our military stuff at the time, military movies and action movies and that. And then we loved the First Blood, and we loved Rambo. Well, Rambo, the first sequel. And then Rambo 3, inexplicably titled, came out, and we were too young to go see it at the cinema, so ended up renting it. We watched it at home, really rubbing our fingers together, going, "Oh yeah, this is going to be great, more Rambo." And then the opening shot of when he ties his headband, he's in like that sort of that kind of duel thing, isn't he? That combat scenario at the start of the movie, and you don't see him at first. You see the back of his head, and he's tying a red bandana around his head, and he just turns around and stares at the camera, and he's got that look on his face as if he's just been like smashed three rounds in the ring by Apollo Creed. And
What ring?
Just staring at the camera. Well, yeah, exactly. And just staring at the camera as if to say, "Oh, I'm Rambo, I'm back." But he doesn't say a damn thing. And we just pissed ourselves laughing just at his face, as if to say, like, "It's Rambo," because he just ties his bandana and turns around. And we just, the cringe.
You can tell the quality of a movie if it gets parodied, and it was in Hot Shots
and in UHF. If anybody saw that, Weird Al
Well, the
Yankovic.
Weird Al one, yeah. But
I had to watch UHF again. It was so bad.
That is a great film. I expected a bit of more of a response from you, Zee, when I said the word ring.
I'm not going to automatically react to every single euphemism that you throw out there, Trav.
Oh, well, it's a shame. You're calming down. I like that. Anyway, moving swiftly on. Did anybody see Megan or M3 Gan? Well,
oh god, its sequel's out next year, isn't it?
Sequel's coming out this year, apparently.
Oh, 2025.
Yeah,
that is this year, isn't it? Damn it.
That's the right in 2024.
Its release date is provisionally June 27th this year. Apparently, it's going to continue from where the last film finished. I don't know how they're going to pull that one off. If anybody's seen it, anybody have any thoughts on the first Megan film?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It showed me the potential of what my sex robot's going to look like.
Oh my god!
I mean, you've all seen that Sun article, haven't you? That women are going to have robotic lovers by 2025. Well, we're here. Form an orderly queue, ladies.
Everybody will want the one that was Jude Law in AI.
No.
Not for Skeleton Crew, they won't.
Oh, is anybody actually still watching Skeleton Crew?
I am.
Ooh.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm sticking with what I said a few weeks ago. I think if you took the Star Wars license off it and you just had it as space adventure, it would be all right. But it's not, because they stuck a Star Wars license on it that it didn't need.
True. Funny thing, we went to a Toby Carvery a couple of days ago, and we were in the queue for some meat. And there was a dude who was about 3 places in front of us. He got purple hair, a lip ring, and thick jam jar glasses on, and a Neil t-shirt on. And I'm like, oh my god!
Oh no!
They do t-shirts, really?
Yeah, a Neil t-shirt.
Oh, no.
He's about the best character in Skeleton Crew, I think. But I've not gone past episode 2. I kind of noped out at that point.
I saw a screenshot. Didn't Neil end up snogging engineer Jordine LaForge or whatever it is?
God.
Now, is that bestiality?
Not in that universe.
Oh, no, okay.
I mean, if you've got a race full of elephant people, something dodgy's got to be going on.
Yeah.
She's obviously attracted to long blue trunks.
Aren't we all?
Cy Snootles is in with a chance then.
Oh.
So just going back onto the original Megan then.
Max Rebo was the blue elephant.
Yeah.
Cy Snootles was the little thing.
I thought the little guy playing the keyboard, the little fat blue tack elephant thing.
That's Max Rebo.
Yeah. All right, okay, stand corrected.
It's apparently not the same species, though.
Yeah, there is a quite a difference.
25%.
25%. Are they still playing that card in Hollywood? Sorry, Zee, I cut you off there.
That's all right. 25% different Rebo means that they don't have to pay any royalties at all to George.
Ah.
But is that a real thing? I thought Jim Cock just kind of read that on Reddit somewhere.
No, I've always thought that'd be the case as well. Because he is the creator, he certainly should get a kickback.
Right.
I know it's true for, actual products. Like if you're making a product that's a copy of another product, you have to alter it enough so it's not the same. Because they did that in Poundland with the fake Toblerones, which is why they had to change them to Twin Peaks and have the points going off in different directions.
And the Klingons in season 1 of Star Trek Discovery.
Oh, God.
Yes. Oh,
Who
God,
decided to stick against us on the forehead?
No idea.
Maybe it keeps it warm.
Yeah,
Who decided to put fire on spaceships?
true. If you want to see how fire works in space, watch The Expanse. Because that actually adheres to physics.
Loved
Yes.
Expanse.
The
Absolutely
Expanse is
loved it.
very good.
It's still great. It's just a shame Cass Anvar was chucked under the bus in the last, not the last season, the next to last season. Was it season 5?
Such a shit ending. Yeah.
Because apparently somebody accused him of wrongdoing, and they killed him off by having a stroke in the Razorback just as they rescued Naomi Nagata. But apparently in the books, Alex went on to live a full life till he got killed.
Oh, fair enough.
Anyway, screw Megan 2.0. Let's move on to this next one, which is apparently going direct to streaming. I'm not sure if that's 100%, but you're going to love this. Star Trek Section 31. Any thoughts, guys?
In the bin.
Right.
In the bin.
Michelle Yeoh is being paid allegedly 12 million for this.
What?
She is laughing her way entirely to the bank.
Well, I suppose she can
She
command
isn't-
that kind of money now after a Oscar win from a few years ago. Can't
She is not worth 12 million, especially not in a show like this.
It's not even a show. It's a TV movie, isn't it?
TV movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because it was going to be a season, sort of like a season or 2 season show, and they sort of like trimmed it down to a movie, didn't they? I forgot about that.
I forgot which platform. Is it Netflix?
No, it's Paramount Plus, isn't it?
Oh, right. Yeah,
Yeah,
of
Paramount
course.
Plus.
See, if I don't know, I'll ask a question. But
It looks so bad.
I just saw the trailer yesterday. It looks dreadful.
It does. There is nothing in that you could possibly say, well, yes, that's Star Trek.
I look at it like this. The first time we heard of Section 31 was in Deep Space Nine. And the
Yeah.
idea was it was the covert operations. Nobody knew about them. Even the captain didn't know. There was only a few admirals that knew about it. But then you go back a couple of 100 years to the time of Discovery, and they have their own space stations and fleet, and they got their own badge so you can tell them apart from everyone else. They have very loud firefights. How is that a secret organization? Screw you, Section 31.
Weren't they also featured in the Star Trek Beyond movie?
I don't know. I never saw it.
Yeah, I'm guessing Peter Weller's character, the Admiral. I think he was sort of like borderline, and that ship was Section 31.
It
But,
was.
you know, William Sadler looked really good in leather.
Well, he makes a perfect Section 31 guy.
Yeah, he was
He's
believable in
as
DS9.
Section 31. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I thought he was really good in that role. But
Yeah.
looking at the cast list, apart from Michelle Yeoh, I don't know a single name.
Probably it will stay that way as well because they're all
That's
going
probably why
to
they pay her $12 million, because otherwise it would be even more nondescript. I mean, who would? You're trying to sell another Star Trek show. The only way you're going to get it, I mean, is what the plot device is what they stole her from the mirror universe, and that's going to be like the whole basis for Section 31.
Well, I can't pronounce the name of the director. Is it Alatunde
Olatunde
Asunsanmi, I
Onsanmi.
think.
Yeah, who's actually made nothing of note.
But what put me off more than anything is the fact that in the writing credits it says Brian Fuller and Alex Kurtzman. So that's enough to put me off straight away. God, that man needs striking down by lightning. Dear baby Jeebus, up in Devon, please strike your thunderous anger down on Alex Kurtzman, please. He has been an absolute bloody blight on Star Trek, and I'm hoping with the sale of Paramount, something gets done about it. Somebody comes in who's actually passionate about Star Trek.
You'd hope. I don't think it will, though.
Well, we got Terry Matalas in season 3 of Picard. That was a good attempt. Surely, from the fan feedback that they got from that series, they would have taken a different direction and gone, hang on a moment, people actually like this. Why don't we capitalize on the things they like and make a series based on that? But no, not at all.
And I would have loved to seen the viewership numbers from Paramount Plus on season 2 of Picard versus season 3. Because I watched all of season 3 and I didn't watch a single episode from season 2. That can't be a one-off. There have to be a lot of people like myself that were Star Trek fans that took a pass and then was like, oh, well, okay, I'm going to watch this.
I took a hard pass on season 1 and 2 because they were just badly written. And I think that is partially down to, what's his face? I can't get his name out now. William Patrick Stewart, that's it. I think he was given a bit of creative freedom, wasn't he, in the writer's room? And I think he tried to mold it into what he thought Star Trek should be like instead of what it actually should have been like. You know, whether he'd had a senior moment.
Letdown. Yeah.
It was tremendous.
Wasn't he responsible for some of the shite that was in Star Trek Nemesis?
No, I don't think he was. I think that was all down to...
He wanted some kind of creative input, I know that. He wanted like Picard to be an action hero or something.
Is that why they had the terrible Argo scene?
Yeah.
Season 2 was just like almost a vanity project for him, taking some of the kind of maybe things he should have kept to himself in his own family life and projected that onto his character, which I didn't think was a particularly clever thing to do. It maybe kept him on in the show to keep him interested. But the overall plot of that is basically just kind of, I won't go into too much detail, but the overall is stolen from City at the Edge of Forever and the kind of fascist regime and how they need to go back in time and change it. A far, far superior one-off episode. And they just dragged it out into a whole series.
Is that like Q was in season 2? The whole...
No, he was, but I think they played him completely wrong.
Yeah,
you know, if he's an omnipotent being, surely he can't die.
Yeah,
and they had him dying, but obviously because his point of time isn't linear like ours is, you know, another version of him from a different time period comes back at the end. So they completely ruined it. So Q isn't dead, just that Q.
And they also destroyed one of their strongest villains in the Borg.
Oh, the Borg. Yeah. They made the Borg the good guys.
Oh my gosh, I'm glad I didn't watch it then.
They made the Borg more of a joke than what Voyager made them a joke of.
Yeah. I must admit...
Go on.
Sorry, Trevor, on you go.
Yeah, Voyager made the Borg not a threat anymore. It was like, oh yeah, it's Borg again. And you know, if you've got an ultimate enemy that you know you can't defeat, but you know, give it a couple of years, buff, we've figured out how to beat them. We just laugh at them now. That just takes away that whole element of why they were so bloody scary in the first place.
Yeah.
I must admit that.
Go on.
Sorry, I think the highlight for me in that second, not that it was up against much competition, but the highlight was how well John Delancey portrayed that character in terms of, I mean, he still looked brilliant. He looked convincing as if he was still that character. And he brought a hell of a lot to the plate on a script that really didn't deserve it, to be quite honest.
Q was always the best character in Next Generation.
He was always Picard's foil, you know. That's why he was there to, you know, be like that element, like the anti-Picard, but not in an evil way, but in a sort of like impish, fun, malevolent kind of way, you know. Yeah. But John Delancey, he did a really good job in season 2 of Picard, and the aging that they did on him, I thought they did that really well.
Yes, because he was de-aged at the beginning, wasn't he? And then he clicked his fingers and caught his age up to where he is.
He was came in as the Mon Capitan from like Encounter at Farpoint.
The minute he does that, I know they mean it fit in quite nicely in the story, but you just think that's the budget. There's the budget getting brought down to proper levels the second he clicks his fingers.
Do you think this is all going to end up just a big pile of steaming Targ bollocks?
Section 31 almost definitely. Plus we've got, on top of that, we've got Starfleet Academy to follow.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, me too.
So they're pulling out all the stops to bore us to tears.
Is that animated or is that?
No, I think that's live action as well.
They're bringing Robert Picardo back for that as the EMH.
Please.
Surely that battery would have run out by now in that 29th century hollow emitter.
Well, the thing is, the battery doesn't wear out; he just gets older. So obviously, he's going to look older on the screen. That's signifying the age of his battery. That's how they're going to get around his on-screen aging.
Dear.
They've always got a shit answer for everything, haven't they?
Yeah.
Just going back onto Picard season 3, you were talking about this 25%. The only thing that show needed was 25% less member berries. And I think it would have done a hell of a lot better.
Yeah.
Just one more film to squeeze in before we move on to something twice as boring. This coming Christmas, even though we've just had Christmas, apparently the big thing at Christmas 2025 is going to be Avatar: Fire and Ash. Anybody looking forward to another Avatar movie?
I haven't seen the last one.
Have you
I
not?
haven't seen the last one yet either.
Boring as fuck.
Jeebus.
Avatar suffers from a problem that it's very beautiful and it's an experience, and then it leaves no lasting memory whatsoever. You know, you have movies, you can quote lines from them and you can hum music from them. If I say Star Trek or Star Wars, you'll be able to quote almost the whole thing to me. Hum any of the music from Avatar.
You got me there.
None. I can tell you Sigourney Weaver's in the film. That's about it.
There you go. Any notable quotes from it?
The end?
That's the problem. There's been 2 Avatar movies now. They how much have they cost? Sort of like a couple, 600 million or something each. It's something
and probably the
ridiculous.
rest.
Yeah.
Is this just a hubris project for James Cameron?
I think, isn't it 5 movies he wants to make? 5
That's what I
Avatar.
think.
You are kidding. No.
I'm pretty sure it's 5 movies.
I was praying this was going to be it.
No, but
No, it's like Lord of the Rings, or not Lord of the Rings, the Amazon series. They're going to do it just because they can.
yeah, and that's it.
Rings of
And
Power. That's
but
what I
it
mean,
does
yeah.
look beautiful. It uses sort of like high-end tech to make the vistas look absolutely amazing. But that's it. It's yeah.
Wasn't the
I
second
think-
film preachy too? I mean, I didn't go see it, but people said it was kind of preachy.
I don't know. I
can't remember.
that's
I know
even
I've seen it, but I
worse.
can't remember.
I am struggling to remember. I know they brought that bad guy, that colonel, from the first one back.
Yep.
Apart from that, and Sigourney Weaver coming back as some kid clone. That's about it. I can't remember anything memorable about
kind of-
Avatar 2.
That's another thing. They've ruined everything because now death is inconsequential. Nobody can die now because they'll just come back.
And they've got this almighty spirit, this tree thing that's named after a Japanese tape deck. Is it Iowa?
I thought you
Or
were
is it
saying
Iowa?
Iowa. Yeah.
Z, you're awfully quiet. You're worrying me.
I think they're absolute garbage. I went to watch the second one in the cinema, and we almost walked out about 3/4 of the way through. It was so bloody boring. I understand what Cameron's trying to do. It's a fantastic and beautiful world that he's created, but the stories, they go nowhere. They're absolutely terrible. And he's starting off with the he did Earth in the first movie, and you got water in the second movie, and the third movie is going to be fire. Are they all going to come together to make Captain Planet at the end?
Earth,
Or
fire,
Earth,
air,
Wind, and
water.
Fire.
Hot.
God. The fifth movie is just going to be set in space because you
Really?
always end up in space.
Space navies.
Oh.
God.
Nerves in space.
Do you think it's going to be a total trash then?
I think it's going to be absolute car crash. I mean, a load of people are going to go and watch it. I'll imagine that the third one's probably going to do about 750 million. But it's going to be a huge drop off from the first 2 movies.
I don't think so because it's still one of those ones people are going to not remember it and they're going to go, I remember watching it and liking it at the time. So they're going to go and see it. I reckon it's going to hit 1 billion. Because people won't remember the first 2, so they'll go and see the third one.
James Cameron loves you.
I suppose if there's enough time between the films, you're right. I mean, how much time was between the first two films?
I don't know. I couldn't honestly
Like a decade.
tell you.
Mm.
Really? Yeah, because they've got like grown-up kids, haven't they, and whatnot.
I mean, one of the biggest attractions is it was filmed in 3D, and all the effects are rendered in 3D as opposed to doing it in post. But are there really going to be 3D cinemas still about when the fifth film comes out?
Oh, you're not going to believe this. I've just had a quick look on IMDb, and Stephen Lang's back in it again
Oh,
as Miles
What?
Quaritch. How the that?
It's like Kenny at the end of South Park.
Yeah, takes a licking and keeps on ticking. He just keeps coming back. Oh, we killed him in the last film. Yeah, but we've cloned him again.
He's popular, so we'll
Right.
bring him back. Right. The first Avatar was 2009. The second Avatar was 2022.
So even longer.
So there's a lot of time. There's sort of like 12 years in between them.
Hopefully, he'll be dead before the 5 films are done.
I'm wondering if it's going to be a flashback movie because Sigourney Weaver's back in it, actually as Dr. Grace Augustine.
hey,
Yeah, apparently so.
Oh, this is interesting. They filmed Avatar 2 and 3 alongside each other.
Really?
Ooh.
Well, how
It's
come
got-
we've heard nothing about it?
I think they're
Probably
keeping, they're
that's
just
the
keeping it
reason
around.
why, James Cameron really does like to keep things under wraps.
Also,
he's-
there's only
he's
three
bringing it.
years difference between Avatar 2 and 3, so they're really cutting down the spacing.
It's got Una
Interesting.
Chaplin in it.
who?
Una
Charlie Chaplin's granddaughter.
Yeah.
She played Rob Stark's love interest in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Ah.
There's a name in the cast list I am not happy about at all. Jermaine Clement.
Oh God, no! What's he playing in it?
Dr. Garvin, apparently. But he's just going to he's the same character. Fly to the Concords and everything else he's been in. It's the same character. That's
Yeah.
that's all he does.
Yeah.
And Kate Winslet's going to be in it too. for
Oh,
God's
what
sake.
the?
Kate
What fucking
fucking
Titanic?
Winslet.
Then can we get what's his face in there?
What, Leonardo DiCaprio?
DiCaprio.
Yeah.
You just reminded me that I saw a very, very good meme, and I'm just going to try and find it now. And lo and behold, because I want it, I can't bloody find it. But it was actually, it was related to, oh God, I can't get my words out, but I found it now. There's the old lady who was Kate Winslet's, who she became in the end of the movie, where she's on the boat with Bill Paxton. She says, "I let a homeless dude cream pie me on a cruise ship, then I let him drown." It's true though. That is exactly it.
It is. Yeah. If anyone thought that was a romantic movie, they were fucking wrong.
It's quite ruthless, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
She got a muff full, and cheers, Jack. Ta-ra. Don't let go. Oh, I won't.
The bit at the beginning of the movie on the boat where she's an old lady, she's telling the story. He doesn't care. He just wants the necklace.
Yeah.
It's all. You could just imagine him just going, "Can we just hurry this up? Just tell me where the damn necklace is so I can get it."
Yes, it's with that submersible boat with those billionaires in it.
Especially chucks it back in the water as
soon?
well.
Yeah, forget about my years of family. Let's go back and reminisce about a guy I let nut in me on it.
He got me box all sweaty in a 1938 Ford.
Ooh,
Once you go, Jack, you'll never go back.
Yeah.
you could have so fit on that plank.
They tested it on Mythbusters. They both could have survived.
Can you imagine that, though? Jack's on that plank with her, and he says to her, "I'm going to die soon. Is there any chance you could, just give me a cheeky wank before I drown?" And she says, "No, my fanny's colder than Hoth in January." Oh, dear. I had to let the side down eventually, but, we did it after an hour and 10 minutes, so bugger it. The kids are in bed. Who cares?
It's past the watershed. Let's let fly.
So just going around the table, chaps. Gamer, will you be going to see Avatar 3?
No.
There we go. Any particular reason why? Can you elucidate?
I didn't
on
see
that?
2.
Right.
I mean, we established the time gap. I saw Avatar 1 in the theater, and the descriptions everyone's provided is correct. It was very visually appealing, and you got to the end of the film, it's fine. And then you would have thought Cameron would have had the second film come out much sooner than it did. And more time was passing, and he kept, talking about, I'm going to make 5 films. It's like, well, great. When's number 2 coming out? And by the time the second film came out, I just didn't care anymore. So, I have a family. So my wife didn't want to see it, and my son wasn't interested in it. And I'm thinking, well, why would I want to go? And so we just kind of left it there, and none of us have seen it on streaming. So, like with any other, like we were talking about Picard earlier, well, I could skip number 2 and go see number 3, except I've lost all interest. As we pointed out, I don't remember the plot line. I only know that Sigourney Weaver's in the film. And you guys mentioned her character name. I've already forgotten it.
Dr. Grace.
There's nothing
Augustine.
memorable about the film.
True.
That makes me want to go.
Yeah, it's very compelling, isn't it? Help desk, Avatar 3. What do you think?
I will not be seeing this. If they have left so little impression on me after all this time, another sequel, an unnecessary sequel, it's not going to do anything for me. So no, I'm giving this a pass. Not bothering.
And do you think that Cameron's leaving too much time between his films?
It's the fact he left so much time between 1 and 2, and then so little time between 2 and 3. I think that's going to cause a bit of inconsistency as well. But
we all seem to be.
He's blowing smoke up his own arse with this, I think.
Well, I think so.
I think it's not going to do him very well.
Yeah, I think he's probably got to that point where he's bigging himself up more than he actually is, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So
apparently he's a delightful knob to work for. Not. Zee, what do you think, sir?
Well, I won't be going to see it. Watched the first one. It was okay. Watched the second one. Absolute bloody snooze fest. I'm not investing any more money in the Dances with Navi universe. So Cameron can go F himself.
Do you think it's just a lame euphemism for, taking territory off Indians? Because that's what it came across like, the first one.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's just starting to get preachy.
Oh, that's right. The first one was a parallel of Pocahontas, wasn't it?
Yes.
Oh.
Pocahontas in space.
In space with giant blue monsters.
I must have saw a different film. I saw Poker Highness.
Poker Highness.
You downloaded the better movie.
Yeah, probably. So is that your final take on that one, Z?
It is indeed. I won't be going to see it.
No popcorn for you, but I'll save you the coffee cream revels. Brian, will you be going to see the shitfest that is Avatar 3?
Absolutely not. I didn't see the first one at the theatre. I saw it on just a nice little DVD back in the day. Looked beautiful. Story didn't really hold my attention too much. From what I heard, the second one sounded like a blatant rehash. And more of a kind of fairground attraction type ride than a proper story. So I basically took everyone's word for that. So I will not be seeing that. As for James Cameron, I think back to Doug Stanhope, and he said, for every talented individual, he says almost always somewhere between great and dead sucks shows up, and I think James Cameron is heading towards the sucks part of his existence at the moment when it comes to the stuff he's done.
Well, we'll always have Terminator and Aliens, I guess.
Yes.
I think they're about the best 2 films he's ever made. Definitely not Titanic.
Or Terminator 3.
Well, he didn't have anything to do with that, did he?
Oh, he was an executive producer. You're right. Sorry, forgive me. Sorry.
Yeah. It's all right. Nobody died. Swapper's Love, what do you think about Avatar 3?
Not an awful lot, to be honest. I didn't see the second one. It kind of passed me by. I remember there wasn't that much around at the time to go and see, so I was sort of tempted because I really did enjoy the original movie. But then I heard so many people saying how shite it was and how sick they were of the color blue that I thought, blue's my favorite color. I'm not having that ruined for me. So I never went. And I thought, if it's just going to be style over substance, then I'm out completely. I'll maybe catch it when it's free to download on the 7 Seas, but apart from that, I don't really want to know. I want to keep the 3 hours of my life where I could be furiously masturbating in pool of my own tears instead. But number 4 or number 3, whichever one we're on next, I may go to the cinema and see that if they have 6D technology, then that might give me something new to watch, because 3D was all right for the first movie. I'm not going for anything less than 6 for the next one.
Well, you're looking at either Christmas 2026 or 2027 for Avatar 4.
Blimey.
What
I tell you what,
happens?
I'm just glad. Once upon a time, I desperately wanted Cameron to come back and do another Alien movie. Right?
Oh, that'd have been ace.
A direct sequel to Aliens would have been just phenomenal. In a different scenario, or whatever. It doesn't matter. Because he did such an amazing job with Aliens, I thought he's the obvious choice to make another one. And I would have loved it if he'd done Alien 3. But after seeing these Avatar sequels, I just, and whatever else he's done recently that was a massive flop as well, I just thought, no, just get, and it's like Ridley Scott. Keep him the fuck away from the franchise, please.
Yeah, he seems to think he's the be-all and end-all of that franchise.
Yeah.
And now you've mentioned about a direct sequel to Aliens. Neil Blomkamp's Alien 5, I really wish that had been a thing instead of Romulus.
Oh my God, yes. That was a tragedy that didn't get made, isn't it? Absolute tragedy.
That was an absolute shit show. And the amount of people that are like going, oh yeah, Romulus, it's best thing ever. And I slagged it off on Facebook, and Fede Alvarez actually liked my comment. I thought, oh my God, I've just slagged your film off and you've liked the comment. Thank you. And I thought, is this a spoof account? And I checked it up. And it was actually Fede Alvarez's account for going round and, liking everybody that said they thought Romulus was a good film. I thought it was all right up until the bad CGI face of Ian Holm. That was it.
You know what? I didn't know about that spoiler. I heard it a bit later on. And someone leaked a picture of it somewhere online. I just looked at it and thought, that looks like a fucking PS3 game. I'm sorry. I'd feel cheated if I'd gone and paid like
You're joking.
25 quid for that ticket.
It wasn't even Resident Evil 2 on the PS1. It wasn't. It was nowhere near.
Oh, why didn't they just stick to practical effects? That would have been better, wouldn't it?
And MC makes a good comment. Neil Blomkamp for the win. I think he would have done an absolutely fantastic job of Alien 5.
You see all the the concept art that he did for it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I was so excited when I heard that was being made and I saw all that leaked art. I just thought, this looks fucking incredible. This looks exactly what the franchise has needed since 1993 or whenever it was. Alien 3 screw things up.
Do you know why it got shut down as quick as it did?
Oh, it was bloody Ridley Scott, wasn't it?
Ridley Scott shut him down. He pulled him to one side and said, "Oi, lad, this is my garden. You're not having your football. Now chuff off." Which I think's really, really bad. He made one good film. And for me, Alien is the slow burn of the series. It's well directed, beautifully shot, good cast, good writing. The pacing is typical Ridley Scott. It is too slow. He is a bit pedestrian in the timing and pacing department. I reckon if you got hold of the master reel and chopped it down, you could take at least 20, 23 minutes out of that film and it would have superb pacing.
True.
I'm digressing because it's obviously alien related. But
I really do. I'll tell you what, though, I love The Abyss, and
you don't, do you?
Yeah, bloody well. I'm talking about the proper cut of it, not the original one. Like the full extended cut's superb. I absolutely loved it. But I genuinely love that movie. I reckon I'd hate Avatar 2 if I watched it, which is terrible, isn't it? Considering how much further advanced CGI technology has come in 40 years or whatever it is, 30 years. And for me, The Abyss was like peak James Cameron. Is up there with his best stuff. That's my opinion. But with this new stuff, it's just like, what are you doing, Cameron? Seriously, you're just like churning out CG slop now, and that's it.
Well, like anything, it doesn't matter how far you come. There's always disappointment involved. Why are you laughing? Anyway, moving swiftly on to our next segment of the show. Thank you to everybody who's tuned in tonight. Jesus, you are gluttons for punishment. Right, the question is, right, the apocalypse comes, right? All you're left with is an 85-inch TV, a DVD player, but you can only pick 3 shows or films to watch. So if you were to pick anything, TV or film, what 3 franchises would you pick to be able to watch? That's it for the rest of your days. You've only got that to watch, right? So these are basically like your desert island discs of movies or TV shows. Gamer, what would you pick?
You want me to name all 3 or just one at a
Well,
time?
one by one would be nice, and an explanation as to why you'd pick that particular thing.
Stargate SG-1.
Oh, that's a good
pick.
Nice.
Yes, defo.
I have 10 seasons to watch, and you're talking about when seasons had 22 to 24 episodes, so there's plenty of content. So by the time you were to cycle around, you're not going to get bored. It's a great show. The cast, Richard Dean Anderson, and even in the later stages with Claudia Black, the writing's great. The acting is great. It's just a show that, again, if you're by yourself on a desert island, it'll keep you entertained. The second one I would pick is Farscape, which has, again, Claudia Black and Ben Browder. That's a show that, how would I describe it? It was on the Sci-Fi Channel here. It was just one of those shows that if it grabbed you right away, you really liked it. And I know there's people that didn't like Farscape. I've encountered a few of them, but it's again a show that had multiple seasons. I think this show is very well written for every character, or even the bad guys and everything. The character arc for Aaron Sung. So that was immediately came to mind. And the third one, I'm thinking, okay, do I want modern era or do I want to go back? And I think it would be the original Star Trek series.
That's interesting.
Because
I mean, you
grew
would
up on that as a
would
kid,
be,
and
you would be eligible for the complete box sets of each show. So I think that would, you've got your SG-1, you've got your Farscape, and you've got your TOS. I think that would see you out. You'd be quite happy with that.
Yeah, rotate them around, and you wouldn't lose your mind while you're alone on that desert island. Plus, you said an 85-inch screen television. That would be outstanding.
Yeah, just don't get molesting coconuts. Don't get in a desperate situation there. So I like that. That's SG-1. I think that was just sublime as a sci-fi series. It was serious, it was well acted, it was playful, it was fun, it even poked fun at itself. It meted itself in a couple of episodes. What was it, the 200th episode?
200th episode of Farscape kind of crossover, yeah.
Yeah, Wormhole Extreme and stuff like that.
That was a great one too.
That was really good. I thought that was, you've got these people pretending to be these characters that are parodying the characters from SG-1, but the people are actually reeling off the original names. Oh yeah, well Daniel Jackson's now played by Michael Shanks, but he was originally portrayed by Thingamabob, Raymond Reddington. Come on, I can't get his name out. Oh, James Spader. Yeah, and he's coming out with stuff like that. So I think that's a good pick. But for me, Farscape, that is the weak link. I found it wholly confusing to keep hold of the plot. It was kind of like, on a level for me, it was like Lex. I don't know if you ever saw Lex.
Yeah.
Yep, I like Lex.
I found it hard to keep hold of the storylines. It was very disjointed in places like Lex.
I think Lex's storyline changed after the first couple of seasons, though.
It
was almost like it was written by somebody else.
Yeah, and TOS.
I can't explain that. It seemed like 2 different shows, and I've seen people talk about it. Now years later, and they've kind of said the same thing. I can't put my finger on it with Lex, but you're not wrong. Where it's hard to follow. Farscape. I don't know. How far did you go into it before you gave up on it, though?
I don't know. I was midway through season 2. And then I kind of like thought, oh, it's getting a bit. I'll give it a pass, because it to me it was just like Muppets in space. I mean, I know it was Henson, but it was just.
Henson, yeah, but I don't know. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Was it 5 seasons?
And then the TV movies as well. They did some of
Correct.
those, didn't they?
Yeah.
And I saw,
when the show got canceled and they tried to wrap it up, there was enough of a clamor. I was one of those folks that wrote and said, you need to finish the story arc, and they did it. It's one of those shows that listened to the fans. I could see where you get, to use it, you Lost. I mean, I like the show Lost. My wife hated the show Lost. There's a lot of people who hate the show Lost, and I guess it's one of those shows that you got to stick with it and really follow very intensely, because what you described to me, other people have said, but I don't see the same thing. So it's interesting that you're saying that you just didn't care for it.
Yeah, it's each to their own, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But it's like with Lost as well. The payoff for that was just so disappointing.
That last episode was a little.
But then again, you look at the names on the tin. Kurtzman. Yeah. Here we go again, and Robert Orsi and JJ. Oh, God, yeah, another bunch of people in television who fail upwards massively. Anybody else like to pitch in on gamers' comments and choices?
Well, very good choice with SG1. Would you perhaps consider Atlantis in there as a potential extra? Because they've got plenty of crossover episodes, haven't they?
Oh, it's true. Yeah. No, I would take that. If Trevor let me take them both, I would take them both.
Stargate as a franchise as a whole, but that does lumber you with Stargate Infinity, which is an awful cartoon, and Stargate Universe, which is also a bit dog shit in my opinion.
Oh, I thought it had potential.
I thought it had potential too. I watched all 2 seasons, but it's weaker of the series.
Anybody else? No? Well, moving swiftly on. Help desk. What 3 things would you pick as your desert island discs of choice?
I sat and I thought about this. It's all like, if I'm sitting there and I want to be entertained, so I'll stick with a classic. I'll take Babylon 5.
Good choice.
Because you got 4 all right, 3 great series, 1 all right series, and 1 pretty ropey series. And you've got the movies to go along with them. It's a compelling story, and it's got some great characters played by some great people and some great set pieces. The spaceship porn in it is absolutely amazing. So yeah, I'll stick with Babylon 5. Secondly, I want to have a laugh, so Spaceballs. I'm taking the movie Spaceballs because it's just good. It's fun, and I don't think we'll see the like of that sort of movie again. And then third and final, I would take Deep Space Nine.
Again, interesting choices.
Again, it's fun, it's quirky, great characters, more spaceship porn, and there you go. That's my 3.
Yeah, I quite agree with that. I like your choices. Just a quickie before I progress further. Zee, are you all right? It sounds like you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, or making phone calls to people.
No, I'm absolutely fine. What's occurring? Is it coming through?
You like
Darth Vader in the internet.
Oh, you dirty boys.
He's enjoying this a little bit too much.
You sounded like you were in need of Kleenex and maybe some lubrication.
I'm always in need of Kleenex and lubrication.
Nice.
Yes.
Milky.
Now then, Master Z.
Yes.
What would you pick, sir?
Well, my first choice is going to be Die Hard, because not only is it the perfect action movie, but also a perfect Christmas movie. And this has been done to death over the Christmas season on different channels, and even EFAP did Die Hard. And it's just one of those films that I will never get bored, no matter how many times I watch it. And rewatchability is the key to a perfect movie. So whenever that's on, I'll have it on the background. I won't turn it off. Sometimes just stick it on to watch it. You can't beat the adventures of John McClane, especially not in the first movie.
Yeah. What do you think about? You just said Die Hard. What else would you pick?
I would pick I'd pick a TV series, which would be Doctor Who, specifically the 23rd of November 1963 to the 30th of January 2017. So 12 Doctors, William Hartnell to Peter Capaldi. That's a total of 840 episodes.
Jeez.
So I would never get bored ever. And the only difference I would make would be when the 12th Doctor regenerates in Twice Upon a Time, he fucking dies. And that's it.
Don't hold back, Zee. Just lay it out how it is.
But you're going to get them all, aren't you? But you're going to get Hartnell, Troughton, Pertwee, Tom Baker. Imagine sitting down and watching all those again. Fantastic.
I really like that choice. I wasn't sure about that. Yeah,
I'm sorely tempted to restart my collection from the beginning again and start watching it. So just even talking about it's kind of got me anxious there. Just laid up a bit. And, just thinking about it.
Juicer.
But it doesn't compare to my final choice, which is going to be Aliens Special Edition.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
What a great movie that is. Absolutely packed to the brim of action, death, and xenomorphs.
Can you remember the cheesy tagline for that one?
No.
What, for the original movie or the special edition?
The original Aliens was "This time it's war," but when the special edition came out, it was "This time it's more."
Yeah, that was terrible.
I thought that was just so fucking cheesy.
terrible.
Whoever came up with that line deserved a good, they needed to be on that board with Jack.
It's like a bloody TV advert for a sale at Farm Foods, isn't it?
Just a bit. Are you comparing that tagline to a Ross Grill steak? I miss Ross Grill steaks. Some great choices there, Zee. The Doctor Who defo, I'd props. I don't know. I probably wouldn't go for Die Hard, but definitely Aliens. And
only the special edition, mind, with the Hadley's Hope bit at the start and the remote guns. I think that absolutely makes the film. I don't watch the theatrical cut anymore. I don't think I've done so in 20 years.
Right, here's an interesting and boring pub quiz fact for you. There's a connection between the extended version of Aliens, a double connection with Aliens, and the Saturday morning puppet show Starfleet. Anybody want to have a crack at that one?
I bloody love Starfleet. Good Lord, that was amazing. I got the DVD like about 10 years ago, DVD special, box set that came out. And I was watching it and thinking, oh, God, this is going to take me back to being 9 years old again or however old it was. And I had a mate round at the time and he was saying, oh, what's this then? So I put the first episode on and he was just sitting there pissing himself laughing the whole time. And I was like, what's the matter? He goes, this looks fucking ridiculous. I'm like, oh, you had to be there. You had to be a kid to see Diex form for the first time. He just said, what the fuck is that thing? It was like a space pilot John Lee. Can't help it if he's got a giant ginger hair fucking stack.
He just looked like a fat dildo, didn't he, really?
Just listen to that fucking theme. It's Brian fucking May.
It is. No, actually, no, it wasn't. It was the original music was done by Paul Moon, who was a part of the Moody Blues at one time or another. Brian May did the Project Starfleet album, which was after the series. But the connection between Aliens and Starfleet is Russ Jordan, Newt's dad, he was Shiro Hagen's voice.
No.
Yeah. Right. Who else in Aliens do you think provided a voice for a character in Starfleet?
Not the guy that played Drake.
It is the guy who played Drake.
What?
Mark Rolston provided the voice of John Lee.
Wow.
Space pilot John Lee.
He must have seen his character and gone, what? I'm playing that. What the?
Well, when you're a jobbing actor in the early 80s, you take any role you can for the resume and the cash.
That is, you put them alongside each other, you'd never know. That's the talent right there to come out with that voice.
But that is the truth. You look it up. It's a well-documented fact in nerdism. And another interesting fact, and I love to preach on about this, Al Matthews, who was Apone, he was a Radio 1 DJ back in the day.
I knew you were going to say that.
And he released a couple of songs as well on
No way.
vinyl. Yeah.
Did he get on
And
top
he
of
was the
box?
only person in the cast who actually had any military training. So when James Cameron insisted everybody have military training for aliens, Al Matthews was actually putting them through the paces on assault courses and stuff.
Amazing.
Brian.
Yes.
Sorry, swappers. I'm terribly sorry. Fuck off. Brian, what three would you pick? What would your picks be?
The three I'm going to go for are very much personal favourites. They invoke nostalgia and got very much a rewatchability for me. You know, they're not necessarily the most critically acclaimed media in existence, but yeah, they'll do for me on a desert island or whatever. The first one, or should it be the third one, is Batman 1989.
Interesting choice.
I'm a massive Jack Nicholson fan, obviously. So there are so many great films as I could pick, but there's one key scene in Batman that I probably couldn't live without seeing ever again, and it's the scene where the Joker kills his boss, Carl Grissom, played by
Jack Palance. Yeah.
For some reason, it's one of these scenes that I can watch 1,000 times, and probably have watched it about 1,000 times, and I still get that same buzz every single time he does it. And I think that's where you see the true transformation from Jack Napier into the Joker. And it's just such for two cinematic giants to be in a film like that was just absolutely magnificent for me. The second one I'm going for, again, for rewatchability and something that I probably couldn't live without. It's Red Dwarf.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. For obvious reasons, it's just off the wall hilarious. It was the first time I can really remember a sci-fi and comedy being blended together so well. I couldn't get enough of it back in the day. And I've been sitting, when the episodes ever come on the TV, and I'm flicking through the channels, I don't turn it off. I always leave it on, and every single time I do that, for a good 90% of all the episodes that are on, you know, I'm sitting there in hysterics. So that's my number two, definitely. And the final one, which doesn't really need any explanation at all. The only kind of strange thing maybe is that I haven't included Star Wars here for obvious reasons. Just it would have been nailed on Star Wars, but just for what's happened with the franchise over the last 10 years, it's become more of a kind of bad taste in the mouth than anything else. So my final pick is Back to the Future.
What, one or the box set, 1, 2, and 3?
Do you know, I've got very much I was going to say just one, but I've got very much a soft spot for the second one in particular because of where I was and when I saw it and who I saw it with, kind of thing. But there was something I found out when we were doing the streams for Back to the Future, and it's that the Back to the Future second film shouldn't exist because of the ending of the first movie. It was only really a kind of joke. It's called Go to the Future and we'll see what's happened, because the rules of the story as set up by Einstein disappearing was, you know, when Einstein disappeared for that minute, he disappeared for that entire minute. You didn't see him again. So technically, when Doc, Marty, and Jennifer disappeared into the future, they should have been taken out of that timeline, gone. So it doesn't. So the second film shouldn't have gone the way it's gone. So that kind of wastes it for me slightly, but I can still watch it and have a good time. But
you make a good point there, because when Marty goes back in the first film, it's not Twin Pines Mall anymore, it's Lone Pines Mall. So he's essentially like in the second movie where he says there's an alternate reality being created. Marty had actually created an alternate reality by going back to the future in the first movie. Yeah, you make a good point there.
Yeah, and something we talked about at length on.
I might have to rename you Professor Brian Cock.
But yes, that's my final. Because I think it's the far superior film in the three. Although the second one I still enjoy very much.
You know, reminiscing of fond memories. I mean, I know we've spoken about this before about my choice of Red Dwarf because it's season 1 and 2 for me, but. I don't know, that there's just something in those first 2 seasons what make it more believable, like a crappy Wayland Yutani. They work for a company, like the Jupiter Mining Company.
Yeah.
It's very grimy, and everybody's they're just a contract. Just a name on a contract.
Yeah,
I thought so, and that was the appeal of season 1 and 2 for me. 3, it got more of it became almost like it was being a parody of itself in places.
a victim of its own budget and success.
Probably.
And in a way, not overly.
When season 3 Red Dwarf hit, I think it was more like a parody of Star Trek.
Yeah,
It kind of turned into sort of like Monster of the Week rather than having sort of like overarching stories like season 1 and 2.
Oh, is season 3? It's transmogrification in season 3.
Season 3 is backwards, marooned, polymorph, body swap, time slides, and the last day.
Because I like the one where it's the transmogrification, where that curry turns into an alien.
I am Taka Doll.
And then they shrink him down, Lister, into like a mini Robocop. Because the only thing that can defeat a curry is a lager.
There were so many good episodes. The writing was on point for all the way through. Well, until it kind of dropped off about season 6, I think.
There was a couple of dodgy ones in there.
That's a shame. I'm in the studio audience for season 6, episode
Really?
1 to 5. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Was that filmed up in Manchester?
No, it's filmed just outside London.
Really?
Yeah.
Because originally the production was in the Northwest.
No, I think this was Shepperton, where they filmed Series 6. But it was a great laugh. They would sit down, they'd film the episode of all the bits that they were doing for that day, and then we'd hang out with the crew in the on-site bar. That was really great. A couple of games, pinball with Craig Charles. The only one that didn't turn up was Craig Barry.
Chris Barry.
Chris Barry, yeah.
Oh, my bad.
Well, he's a busy rimmer.
He was the one I was looking forward to seeing the most.
That is just such a great name for a character. Arnold Judas Rimmer.
Bronze swimming certificate.
Oh no, that's what's it called? Better Than Life or Real Life? What's the virtual?
Better than life. Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. When
They get hit by the despair squid and then think they've crashed, and then they come out of a computer simulation that they think they're in and realize that they are just completely awful people. And I love that episode so much.
I love the Dwayne Dibley episodes.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to say yes to a bit of Dwayne Dibley.
It's all the characters and the writing is just completely on point. They mastered it. It's great.
Didn't Doug Naylor and the other guy, didn't they have a massive falling out?
Yes, they did.
Rob Grant.
That's it.
Doug Naylor. Yeah, I think they did.
Yeah, because there was some issue going off what halted the production for a while.
Yeah, they ended up splitting up, and I think only Rob Grant did it from the I forget which season it was onwards, but it was just him.
Oh.
Which was a shame, because I think they really worked well together.
Who got custody of the robot goldfish?
My tooth! I think I lost my tooth.
Who would escape? Oh, that was good, that one. Was that Future Echoes, that episode?
Future Echoes, yeah.
Oh, it's probably one of my favourite episodes, that one.
I must have watched that a million times back in the day.
I'm gonna get you, little fishy.
Danny John Jules was made for that role.
He was, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He wasn't so good in Maid Marian and a Merry Man. Did anybody watch that just because of Danny John Jules?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
I have the DVD box set of Maid Marian.
Really?
It is sitting in a drawer beside me.
I did not know that was a thing.
Nor did I. I
impressed.
think I got it for Christmas a few years ago.
Crikey.
I did quite fancy the girl that played Marion in it.
Really?
Did you?
I did, yeah.
Maid Marian, it was an interesting take on the whole Robin Hood concept. The fact that Robin Hood was actually just Robin of Kensington. It was sort of like just a posh boy that accidentally got into it, and then Maid Marian actually was the clever one. Despite
It's
the
very
fact that none of them
from modern times, isn't it? That's
It was, but it was done so tongue in cheek because none of them were particularly good, and the sheriff of Nottingham was just Tony Robinson, and he was just useless.
Yeah.
All of them were useless. The two guards, Gary and Graham, they were so stupid. It was brilliant.
Now you've said Tony Robinson. All I see him as now is either Baldrick or he's, peering at some bird's arse while she's digging on a side.
Time team. Time team.
Time team. Have you noticed he's perving all the way through that? So, Jenny, what have you found there? Oh, I found a piece of clay from a Roman. Nice tits. So what was that, Tony? He's just perving all the time.
I see you found a couple of big Roman jugs. Would you mind getting them out for me?
Oh, and then there's that other guy on.
Team, this is exactly. Oh God, Phil, what's his face?
Yeah,
he's a university lecturer. I can't remember where, but someone I know was in one of his classes, and apparently he dressed like that through the term as well.
He seemed a really sketchy guy.
Dead in hot pants, and
you would not expect to live from him under any circumstances, would you? He'd probably get you in the middle of nowhere and says, "How about taking them fucking breeches off?"
What we got here is a brick, you see. So we got one which is on its own. Then you got two, which is a coincidence. We've got three in a row. That means we've got a wall here. How did you figure that out?
Hey, well, just realised we're being a bit rude here and we're getting a bit short on time. Hey, swappers, now aka space pilot John Lee reporting for duty. What are your 3 desert island discs while Z heavy breathes in the background?
Companies with some deep breathing. It was a very, very tough one, and a lot of mine have been chosen by everyone else, you bunch of... Anyway, I just thought of some while everyone was talking because I needed some other ones to choose. And I could easily take to a desert island the entire completed series, including the adult episodes of Ren and Stimpy with me.
Oh, good choice.
Not technically sci-fi, though.
No, not. There are some good sci-fi episodes in there, but not technically. But that's something I could watch just endlessly on loop forever, because the humour is just my kind of bizarre, off-the-wall kind of jokes. I just can't get over how good that is. Plus, I've not seen them all, so that would be excellent. I'd actually be seeing a few episodes for the first time. But that's one option. The next one is Star Trek Next Generation, because there's so many bloody episodes. I'd have forgotten the first ones by the time I got to the end of the series. So I'd have to go back and watch them again anyway. That is the toss-up between that and DS9, but someone's already said DS9, so can't say that.
You could pick it again. Look, if you're going to be stuck there, you want to be watching something that you want to be watching.
Oh, I know. And, if I was watching one of those 2 series and I was halfway through, especially at the Best of Both Worlds, or what was it? Q Who, which it was one of those 2. If a boat turned up and said, "Oh, do you need rescue?" and I told them to fuck off.
As you do.
Because, it was that good. I just want to be left alone with it. They were amazing episodes. Absolutely incredible. Another one is Ulysses 31.
I knew that was coming.
Oh, yes.
Because you did know that was coming.
Great galaxies.
Yeah, by Odin's beard. It's just one of the most drawn out. I mean, it's the whole Iliad, isn't it? The retold in sci-fi.
Yeah.
And just as a 14-year-old watching that on TV, I was glued every single week to that show. Without fail, I was there watching it. Apart from the last episode when I got dragged off to the bloody dentist and missed it. But I have watched it in recent times. But I would go back and just take that entire box set with me and just watch that endlessly. The animation is beautiful.
It
sound
is
beautiful. The design is beautiful. The stories are retold in an amazing way. The voice acting is awesome. One of the best cartoons anime I've ever seen in my life. And it is sci-fi, so it does keep within the rules.
I had a no-no toy.
Really?
The little red robot.
You see, I wanted that.
With the plunger on the head. And it actually, you hit that plunger down, it actually opened a thing on the back of his head so you could put stuff in it.
Wow.
But
did he have a little tin of nails in his tummy?
No, but it had a tummy that you could open and you put stuff in. I think it wasn't anything particularly special, but it was no from Ulysses 31. And yes, that really was his name.
I will give a couple of honourable mentions to the X-Files up to a point. Bloody hell, Z, you're going for it. And also Back to the Future, but Brian got there and there before me. But Back to the Future was one of my all-time favourite trilogies when I was younger. because it was just the most incredibly well thought out trilogy, even though they never fully intended there to be 2 sequels originally. But, you know, obviously you go back now and you can pick it apart and like say, oh, that wouldn't happen if that happened. And that doesn't make sense because they wouldn't be there and they wouldn't exist and whatever, you know. But as it is, superb trilogy. And I could still end up watching that forever and ever as well.
Do you want some interesting trivia about Ulysses 31?
Oh, please.
Go on.
Matt Berman, who did the voice for Ulysses, was only 21 at the time.
What the?
No, really?
Yeah. He was only 21, and he's better known as a stuntman in Canada.
Oh my God.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
It says Matt Berman, actor, director, stunt coordinator, and writer.
I really
Wow.
would have loved him to have looked like the character as well, but I bet he doesn't.
With his long flowing hair.
Barry
massive
Gibb.
beard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I got it wrong, Swappers. He was 20 when he recorded the voice. His birthday, 13th of August, 1961. And
My word.
Ulysses came out in 81.
Jeez.
So he's technically possibly 19 when they recorded it.
Oh my God. How do you have a voice that deep and commanding at the age of fucking 19?
He's Canadian.
Oh, Telemachus, my son.
Yeah. Do you know that there was some great voice acting, and I'm just trying to remember name now. Kelly, she was the voice of crikey, the ship's computer. I'm gonna kick myself when I hear it. What?
Shirker.
Churka. Yeah, her voice was provided by, and I'm not going to be able to find it now, am I?
Ulysses.
Kelly
Ulysses.
Rickard, who was a character actor in Canada. She was quite fit at one point.
Oof. She had a fit voice.
But her voice, it was like wank and spank, weren't it? You know, it's honestly, it was smooth, it was silky, it glided well. She did have a good voice on her.
Oh, Ulysses.
Yeah, there were some dodgy character names, and I remember we watched an episode, and next day at school, we just kept saying Heratos, and it just really bugged the teachers to no end because they thought we were saying have a toss, or they were toss, which they were, but there were some good names, and there's a lot of good videos on YouTube. Of people, I've sent you quite a few, haven't I, Swappers? Of the Canadian guy with the long hair and the beard doing the medley, the Ulysses 31 medley.
That was fucking great. I love that. Absolutely bloody loved it.
And that just looked like it was filmed in a dodgy loft in Ottawa.
Yeah.
Dodgy loft. And then I sent you the link to that guy in France who recreated the whole entire score of Ulysses 31.
Oh, that was great. Yeah.
And Shuki Levy and Haim Saban, they actually used false names, didn't they, on the music soundtrack?
Did they?
Yeah. Oh, like Denny Henman and somebody else, Ike Egan and Denny Henman or something. It was something like that. But the music was actually Haim Saban and Shuki Levy, which I thought was quite weird. Why use different names?
Yeah. I've still not seen anything that looks that good in animation since, though. You know, like Western. Well, it wasn't really Western, was it? It was a collaboration between France and Japan, as far as I recall.
Yeah, it was France and Japan.
And I don't know whether it was Toei or Tatsunoko who might have done it. I can't think of the animation house. What did the animation?
If they still did shows of that quality now, for not just for kids but all ages, I'd be all over it. As an adult, I'd be all over it because it just looks so beautiful, that show.
There was one thing
Look, the soundtrack in it as well. It was just, who could forget all the classic numbers of
How's it go? Crikey. I'm not taking you on give us what is it, name that tune. I'm not going on there with you. There all day. Brian, you were trying to say
there was one thing that drove me mental with a lot of these kind of series that were based on a kind of overall premise of being kind of somewhere you shouldn't be or being lost or whatever. Like, for example, with Dungeons and Dragons, there was always they were just about to go home and they just never made it by the end of the episode, and it would drive me crazy. And the one thing I loved about Ulysses 31, and it was that thing, and I think happened so often that it became really unexpected when it did happen in Ulysses 31. Was that was an ending, a closure,
It was.
and
you're
everyone
right.
getting back to where they were. And although it was sad it ended, I absolutely loved that they did that.
Hey, Swappers. Sorry about that, Brian. Swappers, did I send you the link to the the demo for Ulysses 31? The demo footage.
You didn't send it, but I have seen it since, and it's a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah, with the really bad CGI Odyssey.
Yeah.
But do you know who the character, the actual physical look of the character is based on?
I don't. Go on, tell me.
Jean Chalopin, who was the guy who created Ulysses 31.
No.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I'm going to look this up. Don Chalopin.
Jean Chalopin.
Jean.
He's a very rich man. He lives in the Cayman Islands now, and he owns a chateau in France. He's made an absolute fortune. He's a director of a bank now in the Cayman Islands, as you do. And just a quick question for you, Zee. Are you any closer to the vinegar stroke yet?
I'm getting there very, very, very soon.
You sound like the man from Milk Tray, but the wrong kind of milk.
Sour milk.
Man milk.
Oh.
Is it lumpy? Is it like coming out like cottage cheese? Oh dear. Anyway, I've not told you my selections, have I? And you're going to rip me on the last one. So, yeah, I'd go for Babylon 5. That is a given. And if I was cheeky, I'd probably try and push for the TV movies as well, even though they're a bit ropey in places. I definitely would take a massive pass on, not Excalibur.
Crusade.
Crusade. I always get that wrong. But, I can't take it seriously. I just think of Ted Lundberg.
I can understand why it was cancelled. It was not a good...
It wasn't a good spin-off, was it?
No.
But, when it's got Gary Cole, who was Ted Lundberg in Office Space, I couldn't quite take the character seriously. My second choice would be the entire box set, and it's the new box set of Blake 7.
Oh, the remastered.
Oh, yeah.
How beautiful does it look?
Fantastic. Honestly, I was moist. Dana looks so good in HD. Anyway, moving on. And if I were to pick a film, I think Oh God, he's got a picture of Jean Chalopin. My God, can you see the resemblance with the hair and the scrutty beard?
Straight away.
Gaping galaxies, Telemachus. You're gonna shred me. It's a guilty pleasure. No, it's not Megaforce. But I would pick
the planets.
No, Star Trek 3: The Search for Spock.
Hey,
I love that movie. That is so underrated for a Trek film.
It's the closest one, I think, to actually being a good odd-numbered Star Trek movie.
It is, and it's got more visuals in it, and the budget was bigger than Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, I think they used the money badly. It was ultimately it's the closest to actually having a good story. Odd-numbered Star Trek movies are generally quite bad. But 3 is the closest to being good.
Although I don't mind the motion picture. There's just one film. In fact, no, there's 3 films that I probably would not watch. I would definitely not watch 5 because that is just a bag of crap. If ILM aren't available, you wait for availability with ILM. You don't pass it on to anybody else. Star Trek Insurrection, that is the biggest steaming pile ever. And I'm not particularly keen on Generations either.
Why?
Just because of what they killed Kirk off. That was it.
But I mean, as a film, until the end, is it okay or no?
It's just the way... I know there's a whole element of passing on the torch and moving on to the next generation, but they could have bumped Kirk off in a better way, a bit more dignified.
I don't think they needed to bump him up, but if they were going to do that, they should have used Shatner's book and had the films continue with him aligned with the Borg and the Romulans, where they brought him back. At least you would have something. And I remember actually interacting with those folks back at the time, and allegedly they were trying to do something, but it never came to fruition. But I thought that would have been awesome.
It would have been. And on that note, I'm going to thank everybody in the chat for joining us. We add up to about 26 people at one point. Thank you very much for putting up with us.
Wowzers.
Oldest Gamer, thank you ever so much for joining me this evening.
Thank you.
I hope your Florida oranges are nice and swollen.
Yes, hopefully we don't freeze too much this week.
Internet Helpdesk, thank you, sir.
This has been very enjoyable, and I look forward to doing it again very soon.
Yeah, me too. Zee, with your heavy, breathless tones.
Heavy, breathy breathing. It's been an absolute pleasure to be with you guys today, and some great topics. I look forward to the next one.
Thank you for joining us.
And
Brian,
thanks to
I know
everybody in
you've...
the chat.
Yeah, exactly. Brian, I know you've got technical issues. Are you able to talk, sir? No. No. Well, sorry, we can't link you up with Luxembourg, but thank you ever so much. It's like just on frontier. And Swappers, thank you, sir, for joining me.
Yeah, very welcome. I look forward to if we do this again next week or whichever day.
Well, if everybody will have us back, then definitely.
Yeah. Okay, count me in. It's been good laugh, lad. Well done.
All right, thank you, everybody. Thank you, chat. Thank you to everybody who's watched. And